the coffee shop where our hearts met. The rain fell softly over Manhattan that evening, wrapping the city in a gray veil that smelled like wet asphalt and second chances. The golden lights of passing cars blurred through the windows of Harper's Café, a quiet little place on the corner of Fifth and Bloom. Inside, Emma Lewis sat by the window, her fingers wrapped around a steaming caramel latte. She looked like a picture framed by rain, calm on the outside, but storming within. 3 years of a relationship had just ended with a simple text, "I think we want different things." Different things. Emma kept hearing those words echo inside her like an empty hallway. She was 30, smart, and kind, yet somehow she always ended up loving the ones who didn't know how to stay. The bell above the cafe door jingled, snapping her out of her thoughts. A gust of wind rushed in, followed by a tall man shaking off the rain from his jacket. He wasn't the type who demanded attention, but somehow, he got it anyway. Dark hair, a hint of stubble, gray eyes that carried both warmth and mystery. He scanned the room, looking for a seat. Every table was taken, except the one across from Emma. Their eyes met. For a second, the world fell quiet. He smiled, a small, uncertain smile, like someone afraid of interrupting a beautiful painting. "Mind if I sit?" he asked, his voice low, smooth, almost melodic. Emma gestured to the chair. "Go ahead." He thanked her, set down his coffee, and took off his jacket. The silence between them wasn't awkward, it was the kind of silence that feels alive, waiting for words to bloom. "Long day?" he asked finally. She gave a faint smile. "Something like that." "You?" He chuckled. "You could say the same. Rain always seems to follow me." "Maybe it's not following you," she said. "Maybe it's trying to wash something away." He looked at her, truly looked. "That's a poetic way to see it." "Poetry is cheaper than therapy," she replied with a grin. He laughed, and the sound melted something inside her that had been frozen for months. Hot Beverage Chapter 2, Small Talk, Big Sparks. They exchanged names. He was Liam Carter, a freelance photographer who'd just returned to New York after years of traveling. Emma learned that he captured moments, weddings, street life, even loneliness. "I take photos of things people overlook," he said. "Like the way rain slides down a window, or how someone smiles when they think no one's watching." "Sounds beautiful," Emma said. "It's not always. Sometimes it's just real." There was something about the way he said real that made her heartbeat quicken. They talked until the cafe lights dimmed for closing. Emma hadn't noticed time passing, she hadn't noticed anything except him. When she stood to leave, Liam reached for her hand instinctively, then stopped, embarrassed. "Sorry," he murmured. She shook her head. "Don't be." Cloud with Rain Chapter 3, Rain Keeps Secrets. The next day, Emma came back. She told herself it was for the caramel latte, but her heart knew better. Liam was already there, sitting by the same window, camera resting on the table. When he saw her, he smiled, a real, honest smile that reached his eyes. "I was starting to think the rain scared you away," he teased. "Guess not." And just like that, they fell into an unspoken rhythm, two strangers meeting in the same place, sharing stories, laughter, silence. Liam told her about his travels, Morocco's deserts, Italy's alleys, Paris in spring. Emma told him about her work at the publishing house, her love for old books, and the scars heartbreak leaves behind. He listened without judgment. He didn't offer advice. He just heard her. That was new. One evening, the power went out in the cafe. Candles were lit on every table, turning the room into a golden dream. Liam looked at her across the flickering flame. "You know, I think I finally found something I don't want to photograph." "What's that?" "This moment." Her breath caught. There was something in the way he said it, quiet, raw, true. The candlelight painted soft shadows on his face, and for the first time in a long while, Emma forgot to be careful with her heart. Red Heart Chapter 4, Falling Without Trying. Over the next weeks, they explored the city together. rooftop diners, late-night walks in Central Park, secret bookstores. Emma felt like she was rediscovering life, one smile, one glance, one heartbeat at a time. But love, no matter how gentle, always tests you. One evening, while they watched the sunset from the Brooklyn Bridge, Liam grew quiet. "What's wrong?" she asked. "I got an offer," he said. "To work with a magazine in London. It's everything I've dreamed of." Her heart dropped. "How long would you be gone?" He looked away. "A year. Maybe more." The silence between them turned cold. The city lights blinked below, but the glow between them dimmed. Emma forced a smile. "You should go. You deserve it." He turned to her, eyes pained. "And what about us?" She hesitated. "We'll figure it out." But they both knew long distance rarely survives real life. Airplane Chapter 5, The Goodbye. The day he left, it rained again, like the city was mourning too. At the airport, Emma stood with a forced calm, watching him shoulder his bag. "I'll come back," Liam said softly. "I promise." She nodded, but tears betrayed her. "Just don't forget me when you're out there chasing sunsets." He cupped her face. "Impossible." And then he kissed her, deep, desperate, and full of everything words couldn't say. When he walked away, Emma stood there until his figure disappeared beyond the gate. The world felt quieter without him. Mantelpiece Clock Chapter 6, A year later. Seasons passed. Emma poured herself into work. She edited novels, wrote poems she never shared, and visited the café less often. But sometimes, she'd glance at the empty chair across her table and smile faintly. Then one December evening, the bell above the café door rang again. She looked up, and froze. Liam stood there, camera hanging around his neck, snow in his hair, eyes locked on her. "You're late," she whispered, her voice trembling. He smiled. "Plane delays. And maybe I got lost finding my way back." She laughed through her tears as he crossed the room. "You came back," she said. "I told you," he whispered, taking her hands. "Some things are too real to let go." Rose Chapter 7, The Promise. They spent hours catching up, laughter, stories, confessions. He told her about London, the exhibitions, the empty feeling that followed every success because she wasn't there to share it. "I realized," he said quietly, "the best photograph I ever took was the first day I saw you. The rain, your eyes, that coffee cup, it wasn't just a picture. It was a beginning." She reached for his hand, squeezing it gently. "You're still as poetic as ever." He smiled. "Poetry's cheaper than therapy, remember?" She laughed, the same laugh that had first melted his heart. Outside, the snow turned the city silver. Inside, their hearts turned warm again. Ring Chapter 8, A year after the return. 1 year later, Harper's Cafe was busier than ever. Emma sat at the same table, this time in a white dress, nervous fingers tracing the handle of her cup. The door opened, and Liam walked in wearing a navy blue suit, holding a small bouquet of white roses. He sat across from her, eyes shining. "You ready?" She nodded, smiling. "Always." They weren't meeting for coffee that day, they were heading to the courthouse to sign their marriage papers. As they stood to leave, Liam looked around the cafe. "Funny how one rainy day can change everything." Emma smiled softly. "It didn't just change everything, Liam. It started everything." He kissed her forehead, whispering, "And it'll never end." Rainbow epilogue, forever in the rain. Years later, they still visited the cafe every anniversary. Same table. Same window. Same laughter. Sometimes it rained, and they'd smile, remembering how love had found them when they weren't even looking. And every time the rain tapped on the glass, Emma would reach for Liam's hand and say the same thing she'd said that very first day. "Maybe it's not following us. Maybe it's trying to wash something away." And Liam would answer with the same warm smile. "Or maybe, it's reminding us where we began."